Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. It's that special time of the year where it's draft time. With the NBA draft tonight, I'm super excited for. Go Jazz and go Mavs. Those are my two favorite teams. Hopefully they have a good draft. Um, but keep in mind with my mock draft, I do not project trades like other people do. So this is just if everything stays as it is currently right now. So let's get started. So number one, we all know who that's going to be, Victor Wembanyama. Um, we'll see if he has a Hall of Fame type of career or not. But I mean, he's a very interesting prospect, and the Spurs are lucky to get him. Two is Charlotte. Now they've been going back and forth between Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson. I think I just saw recently that the odds are actually dropping for Brandon Miller to be selected second overall. But I feel like they're going to get the power forward from Alabama. Um, Mainly because I feel like you know Charlotte, they desperately need a very good wing player, and I feel like Brandon Miller can provide that. Now if Charlotte doesn't draft him, and they go Scoot Henderson, I wouldn't bat an eye, especially after Brandon Miller's comment about Paul George being the GOAT in the NBA. I mean, that would turn me off if I was a GM. Um, but I think they're gonna stick with Miller in the end. And Michael Jordan's last draft with the Charlotte Hornets. Three is Portland. Now they could deal this pick, to get some help for Dame. But I feel like if they don't, then they're gonna obviously go Scoot Henderson. Four is Houston. Now while they do have a lot of guards on their roster, I feel like they are going to draft point guard Amen Thompson from the G League, mainly because Amen is a really good defender, and that's what Houston needs on this team. They need a lot of really good defenders, especially with Ime Udoka's coaching. He's going to be preaching defense. Five is Detroit. Now they do need a wing player, and that's where someone like Cam Whitmore from Villanova would fit in. But apparently he didn't have a good workout with Detroit, so Detroit's hesitant to take him. And if they end up passing on him, I feel like they'll go with Amon's twin brother Asuar Thompson, who's a decent defender but also a good scorer as well. Um, so you have a good backup guard basically coming off the bench. Um, Six is Orlando. Now, there's multiple directions they can go here. Um, I feel like they are because I feel like if Asuar Thompson drops them, they go that pick. But if he's taken before that, and then I feel like they will actually, despite having a lot of guards, I feel like they could go point guard here. You've been hearing rumors about that recently because they can easily trade Cole Anthony. And I feel like they'll get the point guard that everyone's been talking about the draft, basically, Anthony Black from Arkansas, who's a really good defender, and that's with the Magic need more good defenders. And hopefully he can be their point guard in the future. Seven, Indiana. Now there's been talks they would like to trade out of the spot, but if they go this route, then they're going to go with the best, one of the better defensive players and power forward, Jarris Walker, because one thing that Indiana needs is A, they need good defensive players, but then B, specifically good, long, rangy defensive players at the forward position, because besides Miles Turner, they don't really have a lot of depth at the forward position. Eight is Washington. Now, for a while, I thought they were going to go with their point guard of the future, but since they just depleted their whole roster, and they got Tyus Jones, who's basically, in my opinion, should be their point guard at least for the year. I feel like they may go, just any position. So I feel like in this case, they're going to go with Cam Whitmore from Villanova, so you can kind of replace Kyle Kuzma, maybe not offensive production, but kind of replace him as that hopefully becomes like a good starter type of player for Washington. Nine, I know Utah will like Sear Thompson, Anthony Black, and Whitmore, but if all those are taken, um, then I feel like they'll go with power forward Taylor Hendricks from UCF, because not only is he a good not only because Utah could use a power forward, because Laurie Markkinen's, you like to use more of a small forward, and you have Walker Kessler at the center. So then if you have Taylor Hendricks as your power forward, who can not only defend really well, but also be able to shoot the ball really well, that'll make the offense that much harder to stop. So I have Utah going that route. And then for Dallas 10, again, a lot of talks are going to probably trade this pick, but if they don't, then I'm going to have them selecting Desperate Need, which is a good center. So I have them drafting Derek Lively, the second from Duke. He's a you've been hearing comparisons to former Mavs center Tyson Chandler, a really good defender, really good rebounder, and then he's been showing, in his workouts and all that he can shoot the ball if need, which is important. Um, so I feel like that's I feel like if Dallas ends up not trying to pick and they are able to get him, then that's still win on draft night. Orlando, 11 again. I had them taking a shooting guard here since they went point guard to kind of solidify their backcourt more. I had them taking Grady Dick from Kansas, who's one of the best three-point shooters in the draft. Which that's Orlando desperately needs better three-point shooting. 12, Oklahoma City. Now this is where my mock draft starts to differ a lot from other mock drafts from this point on. But 12, Oklahoma City, it's like at this point, you really need a backup forward because I feel like Lou Dort was starting at basically power forward. He's more of a small forward in my opinion. You got Arkansas Jalen Williams they drafted last year, but I feel like drafting the power forward to compete with him for starting time or be a solid backup forward is not a bad option. So I have Oklahoma City drafting um, a player with high risk but high reward and Leonard Miller from the G League. Since he's been playing the G League, he can either continue playing there, get better if the Thunder want to go that route, or if they feel like he can start or contribute right away, then maybe have that as an either option. So instead of taking a player from the college ranks as a power forward, you just go with the G League player. 13 Toronto with Fred VanVleet most likely out the door. I think they're gonna get their point guard of the future. That it could go many different routes here as far as which point guard they want. I feel like they're gonna go with Jalen Hood Schifino from Indiana. 14, New Orleans. I had them drafting shooting guard Jordan Hawkins from UConn. Again, one of the best three-point shooters in the draft. Helped lead UConn to a championship. And I feel like New Orleans could use some more upgraded three-point shooting. I feel like they'll get that there with Hawkins. 15, Atlanta. Again, they can go many different routes here, but I feel like they're going to get some more guard depth. And I have them taking Nick Smith Jr. from Arkansas. He's a really good electrifying scorer. I feel like that can, again, help Atlanta's backcourt. Now, Atlanta needs more defensive players, but at this point, I feel like they're just gonna take who can help them score at this point. 16, Utah. Now, since you hear Colin Sexton's on trademark and all that, I feel like they are going to draft their point guard the future here, and I think they're going to draft Kobe Buffkin from Michigan. I think they're going to like him a lot better than Carson Wallace from Kentucky. So I feel like they're going to go that route. 17, the Lakers. I'm going to have them take a shooting guard because they need shooting, and I'm going to have them take Keontae George from Baylor. Now, he's not like a sniper like Hawkins from UConn is or Dick from Kansas is, but George is a really good scorer, and the Lakers need that. Whether he's emerging as a starter or a really good role player come off the bench, either or. I feel like that's the route they're going to go. Miami 18. Now, with Gabe Vincent as a free agent, it wouldn't hurt to potentially look for your point guard in the future. So this is where I think Carson Wallace from Kentucky finally gets off the board. The reason why I do feel like he'll fall a little bit is because there's been rumors about his back injury history of being a concern. But if I'm Miami, you got to get scoring here, number one, and two, you would really like to have your point guard in the future, unless you're going to go get a Fran VanVleet from free agency or something. 19, Golden State. Now, they do need some more forward depth, but with a lot of the forwards at this point being kind of questionable at this point, I'm going to have them take more shooting, especially with Klay Thompson potentially being out the door in a year or so. So I'm going to have them take Brandon Podziemski from Santa Clara. He's a really good three-point shooter and scorer overall. 20, Houston. I feel like they could use some backup size here to back up Segun, so I'm going to have them take Oliver Maxence Prosper from Marquette. He was on the radar at the beginning of the offseason, but now he's kind of risen above the draft boards. I have him going there. 21, Brooklyn. I have them taking a power forward here, Noah Clowney from Alabama, because besides Nick Claxton, the Nets didn't really have any solid depth at the forward position, so they desperately need that. And then for Brooklyn's second pick, now this one I have no idea who they're going to pick. This one, your guess is as good as mine here. I know they have a bunch of wing players already, but I feel like if Jet Howard from Michigan falls at this point, if you're the Nets, you just got to take him and then potentially trade Dorian Finney-Smith or Royce O'Neal or something like that. Because I feel like Jet Howard could be a good defender to pair up with Mikal Bridges. Um, 23 is Portland. Again, they can go many different routes here. Um, they desperately need a power forward, but again, power forward here and center is kind of risky at this point when there's a lot of good wing small forwards at this spot. So I'm gonna have to take Jamie Jaquez Jr., the wing player from UCLA, because I feel like um, Portland, I mean, whenever Dame's on the floor, they just had trouble scoring. I know Simons can score and Sharp has potential, but they could use some more automatic scoring off the bench. So I feel like that's what Jamie Hawkins Jr. could provide for Portland. 24 Sacramento. This is where power forward Chris Murray from Iowa falls to them. I feel like Chris Murray deserves to be drafted earlier, but I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, we'll just let him go be with his twin brother Sacramento. So I haven't fallen there. 25, this was Memphis' pick, but just recently got traded to Boston. So I feel like Boston at this point needs to draft their point guard of the future, or potential point guard of the future, I should say. Uh, so at this point, they can go many different routes with which point guard they want to take, but I'm going to have them take Marcus Sasser from Houston. He's a good defensive type of point guard, like Marcus Smart was, who they just traded away. Um, and he can also score the ball as well. 26 Indiana. Now again, they would like to trade away, but I feel like this could be a stash type of pick where they get a center, which they need depth of, but it's the center from Barcelona who may be a developmental type of player. Um, 27 Charlotte. Again, they can go many different routes here. I'm gonna have them take a shooting guard here, and Ryan Rupert from New Zealand. He's a very defensive-oriented minded shooting guard, which Charlotte, desperately needs. So I feel like he could be that defensive ace for them. Like may not get a lot of minutes, but if they need like a couple defensive stops or something, then that could be where he goes. Until he improves his shot. 28 Utah. I'm gonna have to take small forward Bilal Koulibaly from who's Wembyama's teammate from France. A lot of people think he could go in the mid-teens and earlier, and Utah has made it known that they really, really like him. So I feel like they're going to get him if he's still available by that point. 29 Denver. They just recently made a trade from Indiana, so they're at 29th now, and I feel like they're gonna look for instant scoring off the bench. So I have them drafting Bryce Sensabaugh from Ohio State, who's again one of the best 3-point shooters in the draft. Really good sniper there. And then for 30th, for the Clippers, I can see them going Marquise Whitehead from Duke, who's a good defensive oriented mind of wing, but since he has his own injury history and the Clippers don't want to probably take a risk, I'm going to have to take Pepperdine, small forward Maxwell Lewis, who's again a really, really good shooter that they can provide off the bench. So that's my mock draft there. I'm going to post this on my LinkedIn page down the red. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast. Please subscribe to my channel, Talk About Me. Looking forward to the draft, and then I'll be taking probably some time off since there's no sports going on. But I can't wait to get back into it in August. I guess reminder real quick, the USFL playoffs are this weekend, so you got the 2 semifinal games this weekend and the championship game next Saturday. So again, if you're football fans, tune into that. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.